Climate change and green technology. Adaptation. Why adaptation matters. Climate change is not some distant concern. It is happening to us right this moment, impacting the environment, the economy, and our lives. Here we'll explore how climate change is impacting us in Australia, what the government is doing to address this, and we will look at how we can adapt with our green technology rather than just fighting climate change. How has climate change affected our lives and the world around us? Earth's temperature has increased by 1 degree Celsius since the 19th century from greenhouse gas emissions. The warming of the Earth has caused an increase in the frequency as well as intensity of heat waves, droughts, and extreme rain events. Melting glaciers and rising sea levels that are threatening island nations and coastal cities. And ocean heat levels have significantly risen, which has led to coral bleaching seen at the Great Barrier Reef. In Australia, we have seen black summer bushland fires in 2019-2020 that burnt 17 million hectares, released massive carbon emissions, killed 25 people, and killed or displaced 3 billion animals. The Great Barrier Reef has suffered 5 mass bleaching events since 2016 due to marine heat waves. Rising temperatures are now also being linked to increased mortality amongst vulnerable people. Everyday life is being affected with energy prices rising due to heat-driven demands, water availability becoming scarce in some regions, and allergies becoming more severe. One personal example of the impacts of climate change is the recurring droughts and no flows within the Murray-Darling Basin, Australia's largest river system. Decreased rainfall and poor management of the waters has resulted in historically low flows, with sections of the Murray drying up completely at times. This causes harm to the ecosystem and economic stress to the rural communities and farmers. The millennial drought in 1997 to 2010 and the more recent 2017 to 2020 drought devastated crops, dried out wetlands, mass fish kill events, devastated communities, and sparked debates about water allocation, management, and sustainability. These impacts made water scarcity one of our more urgent adaptation challenges. What is our government doing to fight climate change? The Australian government is addressing climate change through legislation and investments. 2022, they passed the Climate Change Act with new laws to cut emissions by 43% from the 2025 levels by 2030, as well as to achieve net zero by 2050. Powering Plans Australia, the government is investing over $20 billion to modernise the electricity grid and push forward clean energy adaptation. At this stage, 30% of Australian homes are now being run on renewable energy. Electric vehicle strategy that was released in 2023 was implemented to increase the uptake and to build the infrastructure needed to support the change. Internationally, Australia rejoined the UN Green Climate Fund in 2022 to help developing nations with adaptation and mitigation of climate change. Can we adapt to climate change instead of fighting it? Mitigation is crucial, but so is learning to adapt. Many of the impacts of climate change are now unavoidable, so we must adapt our home, food systems, and cities to handle more extreme climates. By building resilient infrastructure, such as elevating homes, reinforcing seawalls, and flood-proofing cities, developing smart agriculture like heat-resistant crops, rotational fields, and more effective irrigation practices, using urban green strategies like green roofs, planting more trees, and improving shading to reduce the heat island effect, implementing better warning systems in anticipation of extreme weather events and bushfires, and learning more from our First Nations land knowledge like Indigenous fire management systems that promote ecological balance and reduce the risk of major wildfire events. Irrigation technologies is one of the ways that we can adapt to change. Precision irrigation systems such as the use of drip irrigation and soil moisture sensors will help farmers apply water only when and where it is needed to reduce waste. Automatic irrigation schedules can use weather data to time watering efficiently, and satellite and drone use can allow farmers to monitor and identify drought stressors early to respond before loss of crops. Technology like these would not only increase water efficiency, security, and reduce waste, but it would also increase food security. In Australia, with much of our farms relying on the Murray-Darling Basin for water supply, smart irrigation is a cornerstone for long-term adaptation. Implementing adaptation methods now could save many lives and economic losses. Green technology will also be vital to help with adaptation and mitigation. From solar-powered desalination plants and smart water systems to help communities deal with water scarcity, from battery storage systems to provide energy security during disruptions, to carbon capture allowing us to reduce emissions from our industrial sectors. Climate change is complex and change is happening already, but there's much that we can do. Communities must adapt and technology must be implemented to survive. With combining of mitigation, adaptation, and innovation, we can ensure that we have a safe and secure future for all. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this.